much to do on the YouTube, so they curate a list for you. Do you want to watch your favorite creator or have a chat on Discord later? Well, you better get hip to Indie Left. Indie Left. IndieNews.Network.
And I was, or at least, I mean, not even that left. Listen, I want healthcare, you guys, and drugs, lots of things. But I guess I was putting all my rage into Twitter, and Keisha that's why she's a very calm person. She did not have that.
I just don't do Twitter that much.
No, and you don't do
I see that. And you definitely have much more of a calm from it, and you have a sense of humor as a result, I see.
That's just because I'm older and I'm beating down my life, and I'm just like, ah.
You haven't seen the things I've seen, folks. Okay. Don't let her fool you.
She did stand up in LA. She got beat down pretty hard, I can tell you right now. That's a rough game right there.
LA?
Yeah. Stand up comedy in LA, no less. I mean, that's wow, that's like going into the teeth of the tiger, literally. So I mean, I would love to see you do some stand. Are you still doing any like open mics or stand up? Is that something that you just decided wasn't your thing? It's I know it's like a really rough game to be in, but this is fun. Like, you guys are everywhere. This is exactly like your lane. I feel like
I mean, I think it's like kind of, for me, like a stand-up it's like something that you can always go back to, but also I just feel like it's having its own growing pains too. And like, for me, I don't like being put into a box, and oftentimes it's like easier to fall into a stereotype, so your jokes are easier to come across. And so I'm talking about, like how I look, how my nose looks, or being, ancestors being raped and stuff. And I wanted to really talk about politics. And so I think and I also didn't have very much, I think, real life struggle yet. So I was like, what do I really have to talk about? So I think it's, something that you can always revisit. But also, like, I was involved in just a lot of stuff like at the Comedy Store and things like Roast Battle. And for me, the jokes are really formulaic, and you kind of had to follow a lot of rules, and I didn't necessarily like that so much. So I love certain stand-ups, but I also had like a huge falling out with a lot of them because I'm cursed. So, I think also too, like, stand-up is totally evolving, and this kind of like being online and having this presence is so much more important. Because like, look at how many people are putting out Netflix specials. Like, there's nothing special about them. Like, you gotta, there's more to it. There's really like having this online presence. And I think that's also something that I was seeing in terms of like a need for us in the space. I was raging on Twitter, and I was like, oh, this person's too nice about this topic. Like, what the hell? And, just only venting to my boyfriend or to Keisha, and, pulling her into these conversations for hours. I was like, I hope you like this. But yeah, I think like you could see that, not only because most of the people involved are white and men and of a certain income level or from a certain background. It's also like, us. I just wanted to see the people, like when we worked at Chateau Marmont, when we would get off work. So we would take bottles, because these really, really rich people would order all of this stuff, and then they would tell you to, like, put it back or throw it away, probably
dump the rest, dump half of it out. Yeah, get out of here.
We were like, no, we're not dumping out free alcohol. So then when you take the trash out, you go out to the back by the trash with trash, and then you hide the full stuff back there. So when you get off work,
then you got something to drink.
You've got trash wine, you've got trash liquor, you see. And so we would meet out there with the back of house with all the cooks and stuff. And, and a lot of them were like, were arrested and couldn't vote. And this was when Bernie was in the primary. And so like talking to them, like they were really fired up about him. Yeah. And they were like, I wish that we could vote. And there was like something there. And there was like, there's some kind of, just because of all of our experiences and stuff, I just think, our voice is necessary, and we still have that, like, we're working class people. And I think that there isn't quite enough of that on the left. You feel like you have to be so smart. You have to have read every theory. You have to, know, it's too much. Okay. What about also that we've worked shitty jobs.
Right.
We've been denied promotions.
Right. We've had terrible bosses. We've, struggled to get raises.
With evictions.
And, yeah, exactly. I mean, like, just like real life things that have happened. And, it's so much better. One thing that we've been just trying to hammer home, I think, is that Court's always telling me this, like, rich people are not smarter than you are. And it's true. I mean, they have us like convinced that we're just out here a bunch of dumb idiots. Like, we couldn't run our own, birthday party or something. Like, I'm pretty sure that we could handle it, guys. So
yeah. I think we just, like, our biggest thing is we just want to dispel the myth of rich people knowing it all, because like at this point, if they did, all of the people who are in charge went to Ivy League schools and elite colleges and all of these things, and look at the mess that we're in.
We'd be doing a whole lot better now if they knew what they were talking about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But you can talk to any person who's had like a real job and they'll be like, we could do this, this, and this. And you're like, those are 3 good freaking things that we should try. And so, I think it's just helping people also like recognize that we've been programmed to think that we don't have the answers. And also because we live in a small, like, rural town, we grew up some of the only Black people. Our mechanic down the street, his name is Joe. He has a Confederate flag in the garage. What you gonna do? Okay. But he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
that's reality. And that's the reality that we live in. When we go to the DMV, like, or the grocery store, you see people like carrying and that's their right. And you got to figure out a way to get past that. And I think that that's another like angle that we also have, that we see how people try to divide, but some in real life, you can't just have these purity tests, so it's we just want to neutralize and help everybody relax. Just get along. We're all pieces of shit together. Let's beat the rich people together.
Yes.
It really is. It's an up-down struggle much more than it is a left-right struggle, and that's exactly what they don't want people to talk about. 100%. So I want to know, like, what other channels, what other shows, what other outlets are you guys watching? I saw that you used to do something on The Real Housewives, so I know that you're reality TV buffs. Okay, so I saw like some of the early podcasts that you two were doing. Awesome stuff. By the way, everybody should go to Spotify or go to any other platform and should subscribe now to the podcast right now. To the ladies.
Yeah, our reality
this
TV
is bullshit.
Podcast.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And really funny. That's the one where they interviewed Tara Reid recently too, right?
Yeah, we did. Amazing.
Oh, she's
that
great.
was terrifying. That was terrifying.
Woo! She was so nice, but it was definitely nerve-wracking. But it ended up being great.
I was sweating.
She gave like so much. She just like had so much insight. It was like talking to your aunt or something. She was just like calm, and she was like, let me tell you some bad things about the world. Okay, here they are.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because like we don't necessarily want to be people who are like interviewing people and journalists, but I do think when there's something kind of like natural that happens, that's really nice. And it was just the way that it came together was natural. And I think us being women too, it was nice to be able to have that perspective because assaulted in the work's or harassed or whatever, like we could definitely relate. So, but it was definitely terrifying because it's very scary on the left because people are very critical, so we want to live up to everybody's standards, but also relate to each other.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like our ultimate goal too is to kind of reach out to people who normally wouldn't be that interested in politics, kind of do like an edutainment kind of situation.
Yeah.
Crossover. So we need more of that, a lot more of that, because like you said, you guys did something the other day with this PragerU video and you're like, look at this poll. We're losing. Somebody's listening, guys. Somebody's listening. I just want you to know. Somebody like boring ass white dude dad out here. He's listening. Like somebody is. Hi. Like I'm hearing you guys.
We should be able to get all on the same page like that. And that's one of the things that's so crazy that I think the left really, we shoot ourselves in the foot about is we constantly are trying to silence people's voices because they're not on the right side of a certain issue, or, because they're not fitting every test that a leftist should hit. And on the right, they don't do that, like they have people who all fall in different lanes and they find value in all of their different voices and they work together. And we just spend so much time like not having fun. Like what's one thing we want to do on our channel is like, oh, let's just have fun. Like this is ridiculous. Most of the stuff people are talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my God.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, a lot of the drama between streamers and who did this to who and who's dating who. Oh my God, I don't even want to get into any of that this week.
That was a wild one.
I know.
You asked us who we watched. You asked us who we watched. Okay. Well, I would say like Breaking Point is just general news. Watch that. I love Status Quo. Always loved like what Jordan's done. Let's see. I mean, I love Bad Faith. Brianna Joy Gray. She's great.
She's great. Well, yeah, speaking of Bad Faith, you guys were Courtney. You were on the Bad Faith call-in yesterday that Bree did, and that got a little intense at times.
I know.
So honestly, some of my favorite people on this planet, between you, Afeni, Katie Halper, Bree, I mean, CJ, I was like, how can I not at least dial in and listen to some of that? So, I enjoyed hearing that conversation. Like you said, we need to hear more of those kind of conversations and have this discussion out there. Like, what do we do now? Like,
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
and go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I thought, we didn't know kind of what direction it was going to go necessarily, but I thought it went, I feel like everyone's points were kind of really heard and it went really well, because the end result is like, we don't have a solution and we do not know yet. I mean, but I feel like it was a good volley of like, okay, can this work? Should we try this? Should we try that? I mean, it's going to take a million more of these conversations before we, get any real progress. So.
And we may not agree. We're not going to agree on all these solutions either, but sometimes we're going to have to give in, and we're going to have to concede, say this is what the majority of the people want, even though I don't think it's the right strategy. We're still going to back them because that's the team. And that's the thing is it team sports or is it individuality? And that's where, the Republicans, they seem to get in line much more for the team, and they don't seem to, again, cancel each other over certain specific issues unless it's one of the four big ones. Let's just call it, the religion ones or the abortion ones, or now they're using the school ones, or oh boy,
they make up like a new one to rotate in, just to keep it fun.
And that's the kind of stuff that I like to report on, is the corruption that's out there, to report on the stuff that the mainstream corporate media is not talking about, because there's so much that people are getting propagandized out there by the corporate media, and they're spinning a narrative, and we need people like you, like me, like all these independent channels out there saying, wait, this is bullshit, which is exactly why I love the name of your podcast, which is like, wait a minute, hold on a second. We have to take a second look at this. Honestly, I have a lot of respect for what Nico and MCSC do. They call a lot of the stuff out on from the left about what's going on in a lot of different ways. They're big with press freedom, and Status Quo. Yeah, Jordan's done some great work on Flint. He did that. They did that tour last summer with the homeless. Where they interviewed the homeless in Philadelphia, and they went state to state. They've done some stuff with unions and covering Amazon. I've had conversations with Jordan before, and he's an interesting cat, and we need more investigative field reporting on the left and as independents for sure. Bless you, by the way.
Yeah.
So I asked you what you watch. What else do I have here? So a little bit about
there's tons more that we watch. I mean, like we watch everything. We watch 90
Day Fiance.
No, on the left.
Oh, sorry.
No, not just on the left. No, I want to hear all the dirt too. I want to hear all the good stuff.
What else? The Vanguard.
Let's see.
Obviously, Revolutionary Blackout Network, but sometimes we're on it too. So Sabby, obviously.
Love Sabby. She's great.
Hardlands Media sometimes.
Media show.
there's so many. We try to like, watch them all, and I would love to see more because I know that there's a lot more out there that I'm not even aware of. But isn't that crazy? Like, we should know who we are, and like the way you're trying to, connect us all in a network. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, so I set up this Discord. It's kind of interesting that you say that. So I set up a Discord, and it's called, you can get there, independentleft.gg. If you're already on Discord, you can join. It's open to the public. And I tried to organize all of the streamers and all of the content creators on the left, and each one of them, including you two, have your own channel. And what it does, it pulls in all of your tweets, all of your new videos, all of your podcasts, as well as I'm losing my train of thought. So it's tweets, articles, videos, podcasts. So that's the four big things. So if you write a Substack, we can pull the Substack in through RSS, and each streamer and each outlet has their own dedicated channel. So which is really cool. So if you want to discover new channels and who new people are and learn what they're all about and see all the content that they're putting out in sequential order, this is an awesome place to do it. And that, like you're saying, so if you're looking to discover new places, that's one, and that's one of the things that I do is curate and try to find and track new content creators, and in building IndieNews.Network, which is and bringing everybody together to do that. We're now a group of 18 independent content creators, mostly streamers, but some writers as well. Tara, I would say, is the most famous of the group that we're in. And some of us just started streaming, and most of us have started in the last couple of years. And again, there's so many of us, and we're just a small group, a microcosm of what the entire space is doing. And it's exciting to see a lot of people getting out there with a voice that have the right messaging, that are espousing we need Medicare for all, that we need universal child care, for example, because child care is such a big issue to all working parents. It gives them the freedom to be able to go out and work.
The freedom to work. That's what we want.
Well, not just to go. Well, the freedom to work so they can earn and but the whole capitalist system, right?
Their lives. Yeah.
Right, but not just right. We need better schools and for everybody, and what that curriculum is going to be, and again, I think. What that curriculum exactly is, some of us disagree on. I think most of us are in agreement on what the curriculum and what we should be teaching kids, and we should be teaching them more common sense stuff, more about banking and how to do your taxes and how to real life stuff, rather than some of the trigonometry and for people that aren't going to be scientists. I never quite understood why they did that.
Yeah.
But
we were just talking the other day. I don't think they're teaching driver's ed at school anymore, are they?
No.
And over here,
did they stop? Really?
No, because they can make money from it. So you now have to go to like pay to go to a driver's school.
I went to a private driving school. They did driver's ed in school, but then in order to do the road stuff, they didn't have like the car for school anymore. So
really?
Maybe that's why. Maybe they got rid of the car.
I think they got rid of the school car, and because of the maybe even because of liability out there for.
I'm sure.
Now thinking back, I guess it was probably crazy that you're riding. I mean, yeah, we had like a bubble car, kind of like an old cop car or something. Yeah, and you ride around with all your friends. You just
your friends, your PE teacher. What do you mean?
Your PE
right,
teacher.
And the teacher's your driving instructor.
I know.
Yeah,
they were not your friends.
No, they were definitely not your friends. So again, you guys are an open book, and I always like to ask the question about one thing that people would be surprised to learn about you two, and I already was, because I didn't realize you were 8 years old. I was going to ask you if you two were twins. Seriously, like I could not tell that you guys did not know each other, as well, and didn't grow up together. That's what it seems like. You guys have a rapport like that, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. But what other things would be surprised to know?
Let's see.
I love stumping people on this.
I know, we're really thinking deep. I tried to do roller derby once. I don't know. I mean, did that for almost a year. Cool. I started when I was way too old though. So then it was too much commitment and I didn't want to injure myself.
There's crazy injuries. You know what?
Yeah.
But
that was cool.
Just out of college, I used to get high with my roommate, and we used to watch like 3 a.m. classic sports. They used to show the roller derby from like the 70s. And we would just crack up, and he was drinking and I was smoking, and we would just watch this, and it was hilarious.
It's an intense community of people, but very cool.
Yeah, I had no idea you had that part of your life.
I'm angry, just like it. I'm quiet but angry underneath. See, so that
she's also angry.
You've got to get that rage out somehow, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess mine would be to the audience that I used to be very religious, but I don't know. That's not. No, you used to probably not very surprised.
I don't know. I mean, it is a little bit.
Yeah, like a real square, like a real.
Yep.
Not me.
Really?
She's not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never would have. Well, again, everybody evolves, and we've all kind of evolved to where we are in this space, and I was just going to ask, like, kind of what radicalized you and turned you? I guess it would be the rent stuff, right? And seeing and hanging out in the back with all the cooks, like you said, you've always kind of been a hang out with the workers kind of person. And I've always kind of been the same way. You know, I worked in retail for a while. Now I'm in sales. And even when I worked in car dealerships and I used to sell stuff to car dealerships, I'd always kind of go out and hang out with the sales guys that smoked butts out on the lot. And you'd learn all about the dirt and everything that went on in the dealerships, right?
Oh, yeah.
For the guys who smoke, they talk smack about the managers, and this one doesn't know that one. And again, you get all the inside dirt. And that's where the fun is. I agree.
Yeah, where the real people are. Exactly.
Right. And you have to listen to the real people. And this is what I think the elites that are running our country have definitely stopped doing. You know, the two political parties. This is why we don't really want to talk about electoral politics. So they stopped listening to us. They stopped caring about our issues. And now they want to go to war with Russia. Do any of us want to go to war with Russia? Over Ukraine?
Oh my God.
But Ukraine we can't afford to have health care or anything here. But I still don't think we ever got those tests that we ordered from the post office.
I don't think we did.
We never got them.
Yeah, the COVID tests that we ordered. So,
just, but that's fine. I guess let's go to war, even though we're the ones who broke the treaties for NATO, but that's fine.
Yeah, it was actually our fault. I mean, radicalized, I don't know. I mean, Bernie losing, I think and then
Bernie getting cheated is
getting cheated. Yeah, I think
really pissed me off. Also, I think the reaction from Democrats all through that first with Hillary that they had towards Bernie, but also the attitude that they had towards voters. Because if you look at the numbers, we did what Bernie said and we voted for Hillary, even though we didn't want to, right. And we still got blamed for her, failure.
Losing,
and that was completely her fault. And so for people I just couldn't believe like how people could not see the truth of that and how they weren't outraged. Like the email came out, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she obviously was rigging it for Hillary. And the fact that people weren't mad that was being taken away from them, that really pissed me off, especially because, it's a career policy. You could tell that hers was completely just like, I'm going to be in power no matter what one day, versus like possibly this person might be really true and earnest about wanting to help people. And I really felt like that was almost one of our last chances, which I was probably right about. So, just been pissed off ever since then.
Yeah,
what about you?
Pretty much. No, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, literally, after the primary, when they knifed him the second time, I was like, media really had the big influence on what did that. I mean, he won Iowa. He won basically New Hampshire, within a couple of percentage points, and they played games with that. They held every time he was winning, they held back the results. Every time he was not going to win, they were going to announce that real quick and get that out there quick that he was getting buried, right? And then and then he won Nevada, and the whole world freaked out. And I was making my reservations for the inauguration. Literally, I was literally booking tickets for DC. And I was trolling people on Twitter. Oh man,
you're gonna do it.
That was in our glory, man. Nobody's ever won the first three and not won the damn thing. This is it. We're gonna take this crowd down. Come on, man. Like,
obviously they stole it. Obviously.
In so many ways. In so many ways. How South Carolina, of all things, determined a state that hasn't gone blue in our lifetimes. That's what's going to determine who the candidate for the Democratic Party is when they don't even vote blue in South Carolina. It never. And then he wins California. So now you won California, right?
For South Carolina, for it to be also a black man to have done this really pissed me off because I was like, what? Why would you do this to us?
The only kind of universal means everyone gets it, which is great for black people because you can't keep us out of it. So,
but he knows that because he gets his donations are
he got paid to do that. He got straight up paid to do that. You know, we they're part of that elite, multi-millionaire class that you don't end up in that level if you're not part of them, and unfortunately this is the up down, the us versus them, where they don't want to do it because their donors don't want to lose the money and lose the revenue. They can do this. And again, it's not even necessarily about taxes. If you talk to our friends at the MMT thing, Stephanie Kelton says that we can do all of this and absorb all of that. And and we choose on a daily basis not to even try to do that, which is disgraceful, where you've got all these people that are dying on a daily basis because they don't have health care. We've got how many people are homeless with all these eviction crises. They're all avoidable. And that's what's so frustrating about everything that's going on, and what drives me and why I spend 18 hours a day looking at these screens all day while I've got a full-time job. This is we have to get the message out there. We have to counter this narrative.
You're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I would say one other thing, like beyond that maybe radicalized me even farther a second time would be unfortunately that Bernie didn't fight back. Like, he didn't help to change the system that screwed him over.
The electoral system, mostly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he should have fought harder against what happened to him in 2016, and same again, with his 2020 run. And it was really, that was the time to fight. It's like, this is the time where we've got to push back. And it's really disappointing because then you see, Trump people who clearly lost an election who are willing to fight tooth and nail for something that didn't happen. And this is something that did happen. They did rig it. And now we sound crazy when we say that it was rigged because there was no fight for it. And it's just like feeling like you're left out on your own. And, I felt like, we got to get into the conversation and figure out how else we can do this beyond one person, and it takes, I think, all of our voices like they do on the right.
And the no fight for it, there was this one company that was looking into the exit poll results versus the actual results that had come in. Okay. And saw that there were massive discrepancies across the board. And there was one investigator. I was begging people. I tagged people everywhere to look at this. Nobody wanted to touch it. Nobody wanted to touch it. One person did one interview from one company from Edison Research. It was Tina Desiree Berg, who works with Jordan over at Status Quo sometimes. And sometimes we disagree. She's a good reporter. She's gone out in the field. She's reported on Proud Boys stuff and on all kinds of white supremacists and protests that happened out in the field. She actually took like a rubber bullet, I remember, out there last year, but during a protest. So she had an interview with somebody at Edison Research, or someone who knew someone at Edison. Basically, Edison Research is owned by the media companies. So they own the polling company. Then they tell the polling company to essentially readjust the numbers to match what they want. And by the way, did anybody see an independent polling company standing outside their voting location asking them who they voted for? I've never seen that in all of my years of voting.
Never.
But somehow they have enough votes, enough sample size across the entire country to be able to tell you what these exit polls say.
Right.
Like they said, in any other country, the OAS would have called in independent investigators, to have, to have
because
election
the discrepancies
watchers.
also all went to Biden and they went against Bernie, and it was very consistent when you looked at the percentages. It was like, obviously this is wrong, and it's insane that nobody would come in. We can't have any interference, anybody to come in and help us with this when we have all of these actual. We're talking about democracy for Ukraine or whatever, something. We have no democracy here.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, what are we talking about?
I mean, the DNC is ruining within their own party. I mean, they can't even let things be fair within their own party.
Super delegates, gotta have them.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's beyond crazy. And again, so there's no home for us, in my opinion, in the Democratic Party either. They don't want us. So it's like trying to join a party that doesn't really want you to be a part. Honestly, I focus on mutual aid. I focus on helping the person next to me, on actual making impact in differences in people's lives. And the politicians, I don't have a super PAC, and I'm not a billionaire, so Congress isn't going to listen to me. And then I try to make differences at the local level, at the school level, okay, even at the state level, and support Greens and support third parties and support independents and support ballot referendums. And that's where we, I'm big on issues and on education and on media and amplification and on finding the people that are spreading the kind of messages that people need to be hearing, that are countering the corporate narrative. So, again, I'm so grateful for finding you for finding you two, because you're doing exactly that, really. And there's so many that I love that you
said all of those things. All of those points were so important, of like the things that we can focus on besides the two parties, because so many people feel exactly that way. Like, I do care about all of these things, but all of the crap with the Democrats and Republicans are not serving me, And I mean, I would give my little, $7 here, $27 here, buy a ticket to a show, and all the proceeds go to Bernie or whatever. And it means very little to, the actual propaganda machine and the DNC and all of that. But it's like, a couple $100 to me. So I'd rather, give that to the person next to me, or give that to actual mutual aid that's going to do something. So,
yeah, I think we all kind of have to just come to terms with, like, it's definitely not going to be 2022, and it's probably not going to be 2024. Like, there's going to be like a long period of time, maybe, where, the other side, they're probably going to be Republicans in charge, but it doesn't mean that, we should just stop. This is the problem with the left. On the right, they never stop working towards whatever crazy little thing that they're working towards. And on the left, they just freaking go to sleep, go to brunch, and they're like, you know what? That's it. Biden's in. Woo, we're living it up,
Oh, but even worse than that, because on the supposed actual left who want things and make fun of the centrist Democrats, we don't even have that. We also have people who make fun of actual efforts, or they're like, well, there might be an infiltrator in this, so that whole thing's got to be written off. And we're always looking for ways to cut down the energy that's there. Right. And on the right, you would never find that. They're like, oh, okay, you want me to come down into the back of a VFW and talk, and like, we're just going to shoot some shit? Great. And that builds energy that they never put down, like any little thing that happens. Right. And we've got to stop, not finding value in all of these small interactions. That's why even if you have a small channel like us, you still don't know who you could be connecting to, or how they can be, interpreting your message. So why not at least try? Don't put people down, and then we have nobody trying.
Right.
Exactly. That's dumb.
So you guys did a video last week, or maybe it was even earlier this week, that I shared, and I was like, this is one of the best ones I think I've ever seen, like, period. And it was that Jimmy Dore is not your enemy. And oh God.
Whatever.
I'm sure it got some reactions from some people. I actually thought it was phenomenal, and it nailed it. First of all, that these podcasters and these streamers that are calling out the crap that's happening are not your enemy. Even if you don't like some of the things they say or some of the people that they like, you've got to take their message with a grain of salt. They're not politicians. They're not leaders. They're clowns in their basement and comedians like we all are. Effectively, they just have a bigger platform than we do. And I agree with what they say most of the time. I disagree, and I cringe at some of the shit they do some of the times. And and again, I just love how you broke down, like, how he stunned Tucker, like, into agreeing with him, and just like, and he got the deer in headlights. Okay. And then he says, you turned me around on Assange. I mean, that to me, Reef, who's my co-host for How Did We Miss That every week, he says that he has an easier time talking with right wingers than with shit libs on a regular basis, because we at least have common ground on, first of all, that a lot of the elite are corrupt and are not looking out for our best interests, where I think that Democrats think that Republican bad Democrat is actually looking out for you, and they're mommy and the Republican is the mean daddy. And it's like, that's not the dynamic going on here, guy. It's just not the dynamic happening anymore. It's and they, you see all the memes out there about how it's just team sports on their side and we're on the other team and we don't realize it.
I guess we're just the ball boys or what? I don't know. As the left,
as the
way left. I don't know what we.
No, we're not even. No, we're just the votes, and we're like the mascots to a point. We're like the people that get angry, and the little chihuahuas that kind of jump up and down, and they got a lot to say. And it's like, what are you mad about today? You're gonna be mad about something, because we're always mad about something. Right. Yeah. So there's some kind of injustice because somebody's getting screwed over. Look, I mean, Amir Locke. Okay. Nobody talked about Amir Locke.
No. Or what's happening with the shootings also in Portland. I haven't seen anything
right?
at all about it.
Right.
Those were
in a vigil.
For Amir Locke, right?
Right. They were having a vigil, calling for justice for Amir Locke, and it's disgraceful that these stories are not getting out, again, partly to cover up the cop stuff, and that's again why I cover what I cover and why I do what I do, is to help get these stories out there, because people need to hear it, and amplify the outlets that are actually covering it, like Unicorn Riot. They're awesome, out of Minnesota. They're also independent field journalism. They go all over the place. I'll send you guys links to all this stuff.
You're like a wealth of knowledge.
Well, again, I consume this stuff. I share this stuff. I love it because these are the people that are actually doing the work, and they're doing it for not a lot of money. There are no, the grift word gets thrown around a ton on the left. And if you're not taking corporate dollars, you're not making a lot of money in this space. 99%. There's like 2 people I know that are making a ton of money without corporate money. And that's basically like Hassan and Bree. I don't consider Bullsh on the left. He's making money because he's getting money from wherever he's getting money from, but he's not on the left really. So, but that's it. Nobody else is getting rich at it. Jimmy Dore is making money from his comedy shows and from super chats to a point, but he doesn't need the super chats to live. It's like that's not his primary source of income. And I find that the people who are out there doing this, that are dedicated to Convo, again, they go out. Fiorel, she went to Nicaragua and she went down to Peru, and she's covering elections in Honduras. I mean, we need people that are actually telling the real story out there from a left perspective and not framing from a corporate perspective. The Associated Press and Reuters make me beyond crazy, because their articles and their narratives for their news, that's fact-based, is completely framed from, well, corporate's good, America good, Russia bad, and communism, leftism, and everybody working together. The kumbaya stuff that's green, that's fringe, we don't want to talk about any of that. And
well, don't listen to NPR then
I was literally just about to say that. Oh my God.
Well, don't listen to that.
It got taken over. It's neo-lib heaven. Right.
Okay. So I don't. Well, maybe I was just more of I'm probably just a
no. Democracy Now got taken over. TYT got taken over. I mean, it became, the DNC light for the 30 to 50 generation, and it's sad. I mean, I was a TYT activist member, and I was in the TYT army, even the volunteer army to help call out media. And now look at what I'm doing. I'm calling them out for their crap all the time. It's kind of funny how it ended up that way, right? I didn't turn on them. They turned on me, man. They didn't cover Assange.
No, they turned on you, right?
Right. They didn't cover Assange. They wouldn't cover the People's Party when that was a big thing and everybody was like getting excited about that. I was like, guys, there's something happening here.
Stifling that energy, it does. It seems like usually it'll be TYT or those kind of types that will stifle the energy. And like the other thing, like with our Jimmy Dore video, I think the biggest thing that we wanted to hit on is we cannot forget that these people are people who wanted to be famous anyway. So like Sam Cedars is a stand-up comedian. Jimmy Dore is a stand-up comedian. They were doing that before. They have their own shit with their own egos. Shank, he obviously wants power. He wouldn't even let Hassan have his own show on TYT. That's his nephew. Like, that's how into himself this man is. So all these three bouncing off of each other, plus Jimmy used to work there. And then, you know, it's like,
they all used to work together.
I'm so sick of everything being dictated by, you know, what kind of they deem is or isn't, or because Jimmy's working on this or that. Jimmy Dore should not be the reason that you choose to not go to something, because you clearly don't care enough about Medicare for all, or you clearly don't care enough about raising the wage. That should not, you're going to have to march next to people that you do not agree with.
Yeah.
So please, like, I'm just so sick of people getting stuck on the wrong thing. Like, instead of focusing on that, you know, like, fine, call it out if you want to, one time, 2 times, and then be done with it. But like, you can't be, that's like, it's like, to me, with liberals and Tucker Carlson, like, I just cannot take Tucker Carlson seriously because his whole thing is he's trying to elicit a response. So to me, it's just hilarious because he's so ridiculous, but he always does it. He's under their skin. Yes, it's always his dumb face.
As if he doesn't understand.
He's so good at it, and he always gets them. Like, you know, he always gets people.
It's so entertaining. I mean,
it's Columbo. He's the modern day Columbo, really. Tell me about that. And, yeah. Meanwhile, he runs like a white supremacist, like, you know, the website. What is it? The Daily Caller, right? Is the website that he owns and runs. That's not exactly like deer in headlights. They know exactly what they're saying and doing, and understand that it's part of a narrative, and he's selling a brand on his, you know, himself, and you get that. Okay.
His thing is he's supposed to be kind of like the everyman, closer to the worker on Fox News, which is crazy because he's a trust fund baby.
Wore a bow tie on TV for years.
You know, but he's supposed to be closer to the blue collar guy, and I think that's what people also need to understand about Jimmy. Like, Jimmy is rageful. He is going to say something a little bit fucked up, but he's going to get a different kind of person that we also do need. So, you know, it's like, so they all kind of have their people and their audience, and everybody does. And I think we have to just appreciate that. Obviously, if something is hugely a big issue, like I know Movement for a People's Party like kind of imploded today also earlier. So that's something that we should talk about. But that doesn't mean that you just dismiss people. Like, we've got to recalculate. Like, that's what they always want us to do on the left, is like, oh, you put in all these purity tests and stuff, and so then they'll just destroy themselves from within.
We're splintering ourselves apart before we even get started.
Every single time. They literally, you just have to sit back and watch them just watch the party happen, and it's the egos take over, and this one wants to do that, and this one doesn't want to work with that one, and then this one accuses this one of racism, and then all of a sudden there's like a whole other vibe and feeling out there, whether it happened or not. There's a perception out there, and now how do you deal with all of that? And it's organizing is really, really tough, and organizing among people that don't really think alike about a lot of issues but want to come together on one is even more challenging. And you've got to be pretty flexible personality-wise, and I think a lot of people on the left don't want to be in a lot of ways. We've given in so many ways for so long, and we're like, when did they start giving to us? I mean, like, and I kind of am at that point. Like, guys, how much do we have to give before we start getting some on our side? A little bit of sunshine. Like you shut the world down for now basically 2 years. We still have a supply chain and a chip shortage. We're 2 years. Everybody's working. Nobody's shut down. Why are the chips still short? Nobody wants to ask this question. Matt Stoller's asking that question. Okay, he's got a Substack, Big by Matt Stoller, and he talks about monopoly, and a lot of this stuff is intentional to either drive up prices, to cut down the amount of supplies that are needed on hand, the inventory, the warehousing, and it's all done to cut costs for capitalism, and it's gross. The amount of warehouse storage and everything, they depleted all their stores now, and it's like everything is being made to order, and they can jack up the price and the premium because demand is now higher than supply. And now you're seeing what they're calling inflation, which is really, as we know, really it's a combination of that and price gouging. and wages aren't keeping up with inflation, and all of a sudden, people aren't going to be able to afford the stuff that they're making anymore, and they're going heavily into debt.
Really getting out of control.
It's getting worse.
You just read something that said the average house is $1 million in 500 cities in the United States.
Oh my God.
Average price is $1 million.
I mean,
totally unaffordable. I mean, and that's because of these hedge funds that are buying up all the property the last few years. Nobody's stopping them. And the government, they bought the government. I mean,
yeah, I mean, honestly, they own quite a bit of the government, and BlackRock is like so entrenched in so many different things that we're beholden to them on so many levels, that when this whole thing happened with the housing and they started buying all the houses, I think they were just like, fuck you, what are you gonna do? Come after us? Like, we own you, you know?
Joe Rogan, Spotify, that was a BlackRock thing. Somehow they were involved. I mean, and there's a question as to how involved they were, but you look at the connections, and that's kind of how the stuff works. That, you know, at that level, this guy talks to this guy, and they're all at the country club, and hey, you know, this thing is giving me a hard time. Next thing you know, it's $100 million problem that everybody in the world is talking about because these two clowns had a conversation at the locker, like literally.
A guy who's had a podcast for this long and all of a sudden it's an issue, but
exactly. Yeah.
And they're using it to censor so many other people too. I mean, that's like the scariest part of it, I think, is like the trickle down censorship has been brutal.
And let's not forget also that it's a midterm year. And I feel like because Rogan was one of the only ones who had on Bernie and Tulsi, and he was not interested in any of the moderates, that they're just kind of looking for different ways to cut anything off at the knees before they get to it, which is kind of interesting because there are some like there's kind of like a Pod Save America type of media company that's under the wing that's working for the DNC, and it's three brothers, and they're all kind of like 20s, 30s, 40s. And I think they're supposed to be it's called Midas Touch.
The Midas Touch guys. I know who you're talking about.
They're using, I don't know if they're behind any of these things, but I could see, you know, kind of, because it feels like, you know, why are we all of a sudden having an issue about Joe Rogan and COVID misinformation now? I mean, you guys this is after surges. It was just the whole thing is very bizarre. And, you know, you always have to think about what's to gain, of course. And at the end of the day, like, just, it's so hard for us to get, like we see it just with us trying to do our channel. You know, I watched our channel when I was in LA. I watched it on somebody else's TV, and I watched a video, and then I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And it just went to CNBC after that. Doesn't suggest.
Normally they go to Fox News with my stuff. Like I go to like I'm independent. I'm as far left as you can go. Like
they always push right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another thing, you know, I wanted to talk to you about, because you two are on Instagram and you're on YouTube primarily, and you're on podcast platforms. Have you looked at some of the crypto platforms like Odysee, like Rockfin, like even Rumble? I know, you know, the it's a right-wing platform. It's a platform. If you want to put your content on there, you can help make it less right-wing if you want to be on there. So we put all of our stuff on there. And let people consume it.
Which one did you choose? Which one did you choose? Because we were looking at Rumble for a while now, because I have a friend who like took a conservative turn, so I'm just keeping an eye on her channel. It's a good, you know, they're doing a good, cute job, but they say some crazy things.
But because of that, but it's got a fast video player. Yeah, it has a good video player, but I mean, I also think a part of our thinking was like, I mean, so what if it is owned by conservatives? We're just taking their money then. That's fine. Like, shouldn't we be doing that?
Yeah. I mean,
we need more money.
They need to be exposed to a message. If it's nowhere on their platform, how can they claim? Now, they may never watch it, but you can get some people and start to pull them in. I mean, and the entertainment part of it and the fun part of it, number one, and the titles that you use, and how we like to dunk on Democrats just like they do, and they're like, wait a minute, there are lefties that hate the Democrats? Get the hell out. They think that every lefty's a Democrat, right? No, a leftist can't stand a Democrat, okay? Because they don't represent us one bit, but act like they do. And it's the most frustrating most angering thing in the world, okay? From voting for Nancy Pelosi / forced to vote stuff to voting for all of her stuff. And this is why I wasn't big on voting for Nina Turner or on voting for any of these. They're going to vote with Nancy 75% of the time, no matter what happens. And this is what they're doing to the squad right now. You know why they're silent on Ukraine, why they're silent on Biden, on all this? It's an election year, and you're going to go and criticize your own party. You're going to look like a hypocrite. The Republicans are going to come out and say that there's warfare within the Democrats themselves, and we need to present a united front to the world. And nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. And that, well, fine, you can present a united front. Be a united front for the people. Don't be united front. Don't be united front that represents the Republican, the Republican light. Because, I will use a quote Jake Uger when offered a choice between Republican light and Republican. Usually, people choose the Republican, and that's generally what happens, especially in the deeper South and in the red states. And this is what we're up against, is this entire ratchet effect shift that's happened even since Joe Biden's taken office, because he put half the left to sleep. That was mobilized against Trump. We were all kind of, they were wearing their pink hats, but they were at least out there. They were screaming, and we had people listening. You can see from the volume that's on all these channels how much it's off, on top of the suppression that's happened because they're pushing corporate mainstream news and corporate mainstream propaganda.
I mean, that's the craziest thing is you just aren't seeing, the things that we used to rally against. Like, I mean, Biden still used Title 42 the way that Trump did, but you didn't see the same outpouring of like legal help and people going to airports and all these different things. And it just feels like you're almost not allowed to criticize Biden. And it feels like, it just feels like this is a crazy, insane time. Like, are we the only people seeing what's going on? Are we the only people living in reality?
Every day we feel like we're just in that movie They Live, just like wearing those glasses and like you're like, what is happening right now?
The whole thing, it's too much. Holy crap. All right, well, we've got an hour already. You guys are amazing, seriously. Everybody needs to subscribe to all their channels. Again, so the other thing, Twitch. So you guys are doing more infotainment, entertainment stuff. I think that could be a potentially good platform for you also. Not only that, Absolutely. But you would bring in some of the not so lefties and expose them to a message. I see Radical Leftist Agenda. She's in the chat. She does a good job of doing that, as well as Blue Moon Red Wine. She's a member of INN. I think that's also good. And there's a lot of young people on Twitch that you could potentially influence. But I believe in being on all of them. So I've got a channel on Rumble. I've got a channel on Odysee. Now, what's cool about Odysee is they'll actually back up your YouTube channel for free and automatically. So whenever you upload a video, it'll automatically download it to your Odysee channel. And now you can live stream for free to Odysee as well. And we can contact those guys and get you guys hooked up with that. I've helped a couple people get set up with that. Rockfin's a little bit more exclusive. I found that like certain channels get an application. Like you guys have probably enough of a fan base at this point that they would probably give you a channel. The smaller up and coming channels, I think they want people to have like 1,000 subs at least on their YouTube and a decent amount of following before they give them a channel. They want to kind of keep that more exclusive. And I'm a big fan. Everybody that's on that Rockfin platform, I'm a premium sub, and I think it's worth it because that's one of the things. How do you give everybody $5 a month? It's almost impossible. So
right.
Rockfin allows you to pay $10 a month as a premium and have access to all the content on there, and it's all commercial free as well. So there's no ads like they do on YouTube. That's a big thing for me. Is I love watching all the videos ad free. And one of my secrets, by the way, I'm gonna share is when I watch just about everybody's content, I watch at least at 1.25 or 1.5 times speed. I can watch more content that way.
You get it done, right? Yeah, you must have something like Brianna Joy Gray has. I know she's consuming stuff all the time. Yeah. Like you guys are special. Your brain works special or something.
Thank you.
We're like smoke maybe or something.
No, we watch.
I take bong hits every 3 hours. Just so you know, every 2 to 3 hours, I'm taking bong hits. So I'm fueled by coffee and weed all day long.
Nice.
Same.
Oh, one of the other things I was gonna say about like Rumble, we've definitely thought about Rockfin. Odysee, we haven't thought about that, or Twitch, but we were talking about Rumble a lot. And I was gonna say, you mentioned the Jesse Dollamore channel that we guest hosted for. I was gonna say we've already been called Diamond and Silk, so if we are on Rumble, it shouldn't be too bad.
You guys are way funnier and way better looking than Diamond and Silk. First of all. And you got better takes for sure. That goes without saying. But so how did that happen? Is that, tell me.
That was like, I mean, what an experience. Yeah, Jesse just like somehow magically found us.
He messaged
us and we didn't see it at first, and then eventually we saw it and got back to him, and we had a really, just kind of like a really chill first meeting, and he was like, well, I'm a little, more center than, he didn't say center, but center.
He said, but I have progressive undertones. Okay, I like a lot. He's like, I like a lot what you guys do, but I can't always say that as much. He's like, I was a Warren supporter. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But he was a really nice guy, and I mean, basically what he was saying is he got help.
Because he was on guest hosting on the David Pakman show, and I guess that got him like a lot of subscribers. So I mean, for us, it didn't quite work out. I mean, we got a lot of subscribers.
We got some subscribers. Please subscribe to our channel.
I think a lot.
Yes, subscribed.
All
the links are in the doobly-doo. I have all the links in the description for everybody's stuff, for all their channels. So subscribe to all of them. Definitely support them. Do you guys have like a Patreon or like a way that people can hook you up casually, with a Cash App or with a monthly subscription? You got a YouTube sub on your channel or anything?
Right now it's just on my Twitter. Right now it's just on my Twitter. It goes to my Cash App if you want to tip us or anything. No, we're gonna start a Patreon. We haven't done a live stream yet. I think we've only really been covering, I feel like, political stuff. God, not even for how long.
That's what Bree does. You just described what Bree does. She doesn't really live stream much. I mean, sometimes, but. Right. Yeah, she does recorded content, and she's got a podcast. Like, you guys should. I think that people would definitely want to support you. Again, it's not going to make anybody rich, but it's just a way for fans to be able to have like that extra level of connection. I'm also a fan of Discord servers. I love talking to people about Discord. I don't know if
I've tried it once before, and it was slightly overwhelming. So if I can set it up so it won't be like so much, but
I can't even handle like group text messages, so I don't know.
So Discord is like it's like Zoom and a Facebook group and Slack kind of all combined into one type of environment. So you can do voice and screen share and video calls with people and have like that whole environment. But then there's also these kind of chat rooms that go back, or chat channels where you can share links, and it happens kind of in real time as a stream, like a Facebook page does, or like a Facebook group does. And again, you can share links, you can share videos, you can watch videos in there. There can be watch parties, and you can also automate content to come in. So that's how I have all the tweets and all the, and it's just, you can basically make it whatever you want it to be. I've helped several different streamers, like Hardlands has a Discord for their fans, and it's just a way for fans to kind of stay in touch with you when you're not online or when you're not streaming, or to connect with other fans of your channel so that they can find each other out there. And it's amazing what kind of community can be built from that. I've found. Now, it also has its downsides. There's some trolls out there and some negativity, but the amount of people that I found and the one-to-one connections I've made through using this platform are unlike anything else that I've seen. Yeah, Sabby Sabs has a Discord. Eric T. Red, who's out in the chat now, he hangs out in there quite a bit. Eric's also a supporter of Indie Left, so we definitely appreciate his support for sure. And I'm guessing if you had a channel, he'd probably throw you guys a couple bucks if you had a Patreon every month too. But for sure, We got to do this again. Again, this has been an honor just to have you guys, and I did want to call, it's Black History Month. I did want to have, amplify African American, people, streamers of color all month long. I had a Feeney on earlier this month, so I kind of did it up for February with Friends of Indie Left, and I'm so grateful that you gave me the time to talk, and I've just enjoyed watching your content so much. I'm going to continue to, and I want everybody to see what I see, and to keep subscribing and keep following, and again, do some other events together, wherever we can collaborate, wherever we can support each other. You just let me know, and I'm always here to do that. And IndieNews.Network, I'm sure we'll be here to do that. I know Sabby and RBN, and you guys are coming as a member of the community, and we love it. So thank you so much for being on Friends of Indie Left. And again, so subscribe. You guys plug any shows? I'll give you the floor to do that now.
Ooh. Okay, so just be sure to go to our YouTube channel right now. It's Bank Sisters. We have a bunch of new videos coming out. And then we are going to be, every month we work with Savvy Stabs and some other great women in a panel called the Ethnic Women's Panel. And then this month we're doing women in the workplace, healthcare activism. Yeah. And then that's on Saturday. And then March 8th, we're going to be doing, we'll be attending a women's health march that I think like a Feeney and several others. So, I don't know, find us on Twitter and Instagram and that, but please share our videos. Like that's one of the hardest things is they are suppressing everybody's content. So definitely, if you like it, leave a comment, leave a like, and don't tell your mom, tell your sister, your cousin, somebody like that.
And follow on Instagram. I love following them on Instagram too. It's a good way to kind of get people into them, because they do great on there as well. So for sure, again, thank you so much. I'm going to cut it for tonight. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for hanging out, for watching Friends of Indie Left. We will be back in a couple of weeks with another guest. And again, thanks so much for working.